What's up, Brewer's listeners? We are here live in beautiful Essex, Massachusetts.
Are we live, though?
Yeah, live for our listeners for the first time hearing it. So it's live to them.
We are alive.
We're alive.
Maybe.
And Frampton comes alive. That song might play here. Is that possible?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. We're just going with it. But I am joined by my superb co-host, because I've said amazing the last 5 weeks. So superb was in the source this morning. Sound guy Ryan and superb Erica.
I'm just sounding guy.
You're just sound. Your sound guy Ryan makes you like extra superb, so
or not so superb,
or less so.
Yeah, less so.
Tall sound guy Ryan.
You know, I'm okay with anything.
Erica.
Whatever adjective you want to throw at me.
How about taller than Matt? Both co-hosts taller than me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Shorty Matt.
If you're listening to this podcast, we are not live, like I said earlier, but we are here in Essex, Massachusetts.
Indeed.
And Erica or Sound Guy Ryan, where are we? Who goes first?
Oh, me. Here we go.
Do it.
We're at Great Marsh Brewing.
I love how you pronounce that.
Marsh. Great Marsh. And like this has a special place for me because we're around a lot of really cool seafood restaurants.
Oh, yeah. Ryan's
Indeed.
family
Right?
owns a fish
You probably
market.
live in this area.
Yeah. You know, my family is good friends with a lot of the people in this area.
Good working class area, I have to say.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Blue
Agreed.
collar. I love it.
Now you're a dick. Don't make fun of me.
I'm not trying to be a dick. I actually think this area, I've gone to a lot of the local restaurants around here.
Great restaurants.
And I've said for a while, I think there needs to be a brewery
Yeah.
here. And I'm glad there's one.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the closest one was True North at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then these guys opened, and now you can get everything all in one place.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
And
So who are we joined by? Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us your roles at the brewery?
Sure. I'm Mac Bogard. I'm head brewer.
Okay.
And I am Josh Oliver. I am sort of business development, outside sales, in kind of doing a lot of the sales and marketing as well.
Yeah. Very cool. When did you both fall in love with craft beer?
For me, that was 2016, senior year of college. Had to have a biology-related internship to graduate, and long story short, it was like mapping beaver dams, and it fell through.
Yeah. That sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah. I was not looking forward to it. Let's just put it that way.
Did your friends get one that was cooler? And you were like, shit, that one's so much cooler than mapping beaver dams?
Basically, everything is cooler than mapping. Don't want to offend any beaver dam mappers out there,
Yeah.
but
Huge audience for us, so
right.
thank you
Yeah.
for saving it.
of course. So that fell through, and I ended up at a brewery because that was a biology-related field, and I worked 3 days, maybe 4, and I was like called my parents, and I was like, "This is what I want to do."
Guess what?
Yeah. My mom was not thrilled,
Surprise.
but here I am. I've worked at, including that one. This is my 5th brewery
Okay.
I've been at. And I, 2019, graduated from Siebel Institute World Brewing Academy Master Brewing Program. So that entails 2 months in Chicago, and then 4 months, a little longer, in Munich, Germany, at the Domens Academy, learning from those guys. So
Thankfully, you got that done before the pandemic hit, because
yeah, I don't know. I think it's all virtual now.
I think it is.
Which
Yeah.
I don't understand how that would work.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
And you don't get the
German experience or the
and that was more valuable than
yeah.
like any classroom activities or any brewing we did. Was,
Yeah, they're pretty good at making beer over there. Yeah.
I'd say so.
They're
They do
okay.
all right.
They're okay
Yeah.
at best.
Yeah.
Josh, when did you fall in love with craft beer?
It was early. So I am
Like 3 years old? No.
yeah, I was very young.
He was a problem child.
I fell in love with craft beer pretty much, shouldn't be saying this, but when it was pretty much right out of high school.
Okay.
And I was like 18 years old. I was actually, I just started working for another local brewery, doing sort of miscellaneous work on the side, and then one thing kind of led to another. Over time, I built up a passion for it, and I started, getting homebrew equipment, and then next thing you know, I'm in my parents' basement, and I'm making my own kegerator keezer, and I'm brewing beer out in the middle of December in the snow, and and then started sort of founded our homebrew club, and it kind of all spanned over the course of the last maybe 10 years or so. And then, the place I was at before this, it kind of, my more, permanent role became, sales and marketing at the previous brewery I was at. And that was, maybe a good 3-4 years in that role. And then, that sort of segued right into, Great Marsh, which was honestly one of the coolest it's a blessing, really. This place is phenomenal, and just kind of walking into this place for the first time ever, you look around and you're in awe. It's one of the coolest breweries I've ever been to. I mean, I haven't been to hundreds, but I've been to dozens for sure. Yeah. And it's it's right up there with maybe Allagash. As far as like being local and just having that shock and awe feeling, if you're getting yourself into a really sort of cool experience here.
Like the legitimacy factor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this place was actually designed using Allagash as an inspiration. So
fun facts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So John Collins, our owner and founder,
do you have the 3,000 barrel dedicated system to a white Belgian? No.
It's coming.
That's on order.
Yeah.
That's on order.
Yeah. That goes through 2 floors. Yeah.
He took a trip up there and talked to their head engineer, and got some good ideas. So the floor is the same, argillith tile. That's actually where our Corrosis inline carbonation unit and deaerated water station came from. That was the one thing they told him, you have to get this. Yeah. And it's a blessing for me because I can, as I'm packaging beer and processing it through, it carbonates in real time down to the 100th of a gram per liter. So
wow.
I just plug in exactly what I want.
It's really dialed in.
And by the time it's into the bright tank, it's ready to go, fully carbonated. Yeah.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
I promise our listeners we are going to get into the nerdy stuff, but I have a question for both of you. Do you know what this place was before Great Marsh?
Palace.
Yeah, so Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting to see. I've gone to that Chinese restaurant as a child. I may or may not have been served alcohol underage at that Chinese restaurant. And I know that you guys aren't doing that. So is it amazing? Are you both local to this area?
I am local to the area. I'm born and raised in Gloucester, and I basically live about 5 minutes away, right on the border of Essex and West Gloucester. So I'm local. I actually, growing up, I remember having my grandmother's 60th birthday at Fortune Palace.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's like when I was kind of moving around a little bit and finding old pictures, I actually found an old picture of a bunch of my cousins and all of us literally right downstairs facing out that way. So it was just one of the things that I found funny. And
you've come full circle.
Yeah, literally. So
where are you from, Mac?
Yeah, so I grew up in Boxford. And then
Go to Masco?
I did until after my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
And then we moved to Newburyport. Okay. And then from Newburyport to Toronto for the second time. So I've bounced around.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Cool. So this street right literally next to you is Woodman's, which is famous if you're in the area. But you're making a name for yourself with the location and the beer that you're putting out. But people who may not know about you, what are some of the flagship beers, or what are some of the beers that people might be hearing about for you? And I know you have a beer that's going into, what is it, GABF or
World Beer Cup.
World Beer, yeah.
Yep. So, everything about us is just German inspired, I would say. So, I obviously spent a good deal of time over there, not only learning how to brew, but kind of enjoying and discovering that German beer culture, which is nothing like It's unlike anything I've ever experienced in the States. So I spent some time over there. I fell in love with it. John also has been to Germany, touring breweries, experiencing that culture. So he kind of wanted to come back, and it really was like a perfect marriage between the two of us, where we both had this idea of like, let's bring that German beer culture back. So all of our tanks, all of our equipment, everything in the brewery is sourced from Germany. It was all flown over here. We had German welders come and weld everything. And so naturally our beer menu is very heavy into the German and Belgian styles.
Yep.
So
we're drinking a Hef and we're drinking a Kolsch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, you mentioned World Beer Cup. We have six beers going in. Actually, by the time this airs, probably 2 or 3 weeks after that. But yes, we have our Hef, our Helles, our Kolsch, our Dunkles, a Schwarz beer, and our Belgian triple going
All
in. So
solid styles.
Yeah.
Love it.
Are you decocting here? Or do you have the ability?
we have the ability to do
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Very cool.
So I always find it interesting when somebody attends, a Siebel or a UC Davis program and, they talk about the experience that they get. But there's not like hospitality 101, right? You went to Germany and you got to feel that hospitality. So what is Great Marsh offering that, maybe some of the other breweries around the area aren't because of that German influence?
Yep. So we have, first things start with our beer garden, which a lot of people have, but, putting some tables outside for people to sit down isn't really what a beer garden is. It's more about communal sitting and seating, and so we had beer garden tables from Germany flown in, so we can set those up under the tent outside, so you can sit down, and it's not one group to one table. You just find an open seat and sit down. And for my part, I try to be here as often as I can, engaging with the customers. If anyone wants a tour, I'll gladly give them a tour. If they just want to talk beer, I'll talk beer. I'll pour them a beer. I'll pour myself one. We'll just sit down and talk. And it's about that, everyone coming together, not necessarily just to drink and have a good time, but to enjoy beer, to talk about beer, and to really come together over a glass of beer.
Yeah. So Josh, obviously working in other breweries, you have an idea of like hospitality and what you've seen at other breweries. So what is your opinion here about the hospitality and the importance in it in the beer industry?
So I really think that, the importance of, not just here, but breweries in general, I think the most important thing is the culture.
Yeah.
I think we have really amazing liquid here. I think our beers are definitely world class.
I thought you were talking about water. I'm sorry.
But we really try to pride ourselves in kind of building up that culture here, and trying to, we're still a young brewery, it's still sort of in its infant stages, and, but I think over time we're trying to just kind of develop the Great Marsh culture. And I think we're, especially as this year kind of transpires, like we're kind of trying to dial that in a little more. Recently we've been kind of distributing some of our beer and kind of getting the beer out there to the market and just kind of interacting with, outside accounts and consumers and just kind of having fun with it. So I think that kind of is, one of, if not the most important parts of like, I think the culture is definitely one of the more important parts of the hospitality side of things of, this, Great Marsh and the brewing industry.
Yeah.
All right. So we got education. We got culture. I want to know more. But first,
Sponsor
break.
Cue up the sponsor machine.
Did you know that your favorite Massachusetts breweries use hops from a local family-owned hop farm right here in Massachusetts?
Our friends over at 4 Star Farms are there for you whether you're a commercial brewery or a small batch home brewer.
Make sure to head over to their website today and get your hands on some of the best and freshest hops available locally. Cheers.
At our local homebrew shop, Beer and Wine Hobby, you can get everything you need to make beer, wine, cider, cheese, and more. Not sure where to start? They have knowledgeable staff there to help. Beer and Wine Hobby is family-owned and located in Danvers, Massachusetts. Visit their website, beer-wine.com, and use our promo code BREWS for 10% off your online order today.
Shirts on Tap is the box subscription service for craft beer lovers. Each month, Shirts on Tap partners up with 7 different breweries from across the country and collaborates on a sweet custom shirt design. We've been teamed up with Shirts on Tap since the inception of the podcast and are proud to announce a new promo code for all of our listeners. To get your first shirt for $5 off, go to the link in our description below and use the promo code. And remember, drink better beer, wear better shirts.
All right, so
Okay.
we've talked about education. You've talked a lot about working kind of in the brew house a little bit with Mac. Has that helped at all with sales?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I would say, it's helped myself, kind of really dial in my sales pitch, and what they call an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Your quick, like 45, 60-second pitch.
Sell me this pen, right? Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street guy.
I've seen it.
But yeah, I mean, it really kind of helped me dial in, my sales pitch whenever I go out into an account, a potential account, some place that might have never even heard of Great Marsh, and I think our story is really cool. We're all about the tech here, we're all about, kind of using, premium ingredients and, we have the technical expertise in Mac. It's so, I think just kind of being able to kind of understand that and have have firsthand experience really, separates myself a little more in the sense of being able to just like go out there and deliver a really superior product.
Yeah. So you're not just you actually are aware of what you're pushing, right? It's not like
Beer's great.
beer's great. Yeah. Look at this really cool can art.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, on a personal level, I want to be able to, be aware of what I'm pushing out there. But yeah, I mean, I kind of have a little more of that, background in the brewery, and again, not that this necessarily pertains to Great Marsh, but I have, had brewing experience, home brewing experience in the past, and a little more in depth experience with the beer, the behind the scenes beer, making process. So I think it definitely just kind of, adds to the fact of, being able to go out to, wherever and be.
It's like the engineering going into engineering.
I was saying, it gives you a better understanding of like the
Absolutely.
product you're trying to sell. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's something we're really big about here is getting everybody. Doesn't matter if you're the one pouring the beer or you're selling like Josh is to restaurants and bars, or like our other sales guy Doug who does all on-site retails. We all sit down, we have beers, we discuss the beer.
Yeah.
When Doug is out at stores on the road, he'll buy a 4-pack or 2, and we'll come back and we'll break that beer apart, and I'll the continuing education with all of our staff about okay, what are we drinking, how to perceive it, how to talk about it, because ultimately it goes back to the culture that Josh brought up, and that hospitality is
Definitely.
How do we talk about the beer? How do we get someone as a customer who's drinking our beer, to be excited about it, to learn about it?
Yeah.
So how do you say Dunkel? Dunkless? Dunkel?
So there's
Munich?
Dunkel
Yeah.
and Dunkless.
Two different
are
beers.
Two different beers.
Same beer.
Ooh.
Okay.
Different. It's like in
Depends
Germany,
where you're from, I guess.
Sometimes they call it a Hell, Hell.
Right. Or
And a Helles, same thing.
Yep.
Dunkel, Dunkless. What we don't want is people calling it a Dunkles.
Oh, okay. See what you're
because-
saying. Yeah.
Okay.
That isn't the pronunciation, and doesn't sound great.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, it doesn't.
I just want to back up a little bit.
No.
Yes, absolutely.
Wine.
So when you're, talking about a beer with your crew, right? And you're trying to figure out, how can we sell this to a restaurant or a bar, right? Do you ever come across a beer where you're like, maybe we shouldn't put this into the restaurant and bar market because the other people won't be able to educate those consumers at all?
All right.
That
Yes.
is a loaded question.
We definitely have those conversations. I would say more so surrounding the beer style, the beer itself, and the venue. I think that beer might not play well there. But there is, I had hesitation personally about the Trappist Single. I think it's a fantastic beer. It's a little niche. Not a lot of people do it, and
not people have had it.
Right, and not a lot of people
might think something like an Abbey Ale, something completely different flavor profile, but yeah.
Right, and it's we had to educate people here,
right?
Customers be like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
So my sales pitch is not as refined as Josh's. It's here's 5 ounces.
Try it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is. It's and then as they drink it and they have comments, I can walk them through it. But
so you described it earlier. What is, just for the fun of it, a Trappist Single?
Yeah, walk me through it.
Sure. So it's a
I'm halfway through, so yeah. Slowly.
my take on it is it needs to have the same characteristics as an Abbey beer. So something a monk would drink throughout the day, every day. That's not 8.5%, 9%, and something that's drinkable. So when I have a beer, I don't like to have a beer
when you're
or two
brewing
beers.
on the deck. You're not going to have the 8% beer, right?
Exactly. I like to have multiple lower alcohol, more drinkable beers. So that's kind of the origin of it. We, I think West Mallier makes a Trappist Single, Trappist Single style. They don't call it that, and that's what we kind of based it off of. Yeah. And we can get into the really nerdy nitty gritty stuff about the water if you guys want. But basically, we use the same water profile as West Mallier.
Okay.
Just for those 2 beers, the triple and the single.
So you're just paying attention just to water for 2 specific beers.
So it's every beer.
Yeah.
Every beer that we brew has a specific water profile. So the Belgian Wit, for example, that's Hoegaarden, Belgium's water profile. The Helles, the Dunkles, the Schwarzbier, and the Hef are all Munich's water profile. The Kolsch is Cologne, so on and so forth. So we have a reverse osmosis system, and it's a 4-step filtration process. A green sand filter, carbon filter, reverse osmosis filter, which has an additional 2 carbon filters built into it, and then a UV light sanitation filter. So we remove everything from the water.
Like literally everything.
Yeah, you strip it.
It's less than 30 parts per million of
Wow.
anything. And then we add back salts to create the water profile that we're kind of going for.
That's
Science. Mind blown. Like,
Science.
seriously, science, right? Now, it's crazy that the technology of the brewing industry has come this far, right?
Yeah, they could brew a beer that you technically probably couldn't X amount of years ago
Correct.
from Munich in the proper style way to taste the same because you couldn't necessarily strip so much.
We've been told time and time again that the water plays a massive role, and I think it's a very represented role. Right?
So underrated.
Yeah.
pH, salt content, like that all plays a role in
massive
in how the beer transforms over its fermentation and conditioning process.
Yeah.
So starting with the right ingredients and the high quality malt, high quality hops, fresh hops, and good water, and then the yeast we have, it's a overnighted yeast pitch.
Nice.
And it we'll then reuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we probably have 12 to 15 different yeast strains in-house.
So you don't have like a house strain that you use for everything?
No. It's hard to brew a Dublin Stout in a Trappist Single.
Really?
Same.
Really?
Believe it or not.
So with all this being said, and we haven't asked this question in a while, is what do you think the most important ingredient of beer is?
I was thinking the same thing, Brian.
I wasn't.
Great job.
It's like picking your favorite child.
Do it.
It's never the middle.
Fuck the middle child is great.
As the middle child in my family, I agree.
I'm gonna personally, like, I'm not in the brew house, but personally, even now, on days when Mac's like getting prepped beforehand, shout out to Stone Path Malting. They're down in the South Shore. Why can I never remember where they are?
They're in Weymouth?
Weymouth sounds right.
Wareham.
Wareham. See, it was a W.
Yeah.
Yes, they're great guys.
Shout out to Stone
Yep.
Path
Love
because
those guys.
their malt is amazing, and every time as Mag is getting everything in the hopper, I'll take a nice handful of malt and just kind of
Crush it.
Oh, and just eat it.
So good.
And so I would say maybe for me personally, it's the malt, just because I love I could eat spent grain malt, I can eat malt that's been uncracked, and of course I'll drink it.
Yeah.
So the malt. I'll let you answer that question after, but I don't know. You able to spend all this money, right, on this system and fly in all of this stuff from, Germany or wherever, but what about your ingredients?
So the malt, I know Stone Path actually comes from Germany. Yeah.
They do.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
So we use Stone Path malt. We love those guys. Actually, Mike Schroff, the owner, came in really on like a cold call. And it was right after we had some issues with BSG and Wireman, where basically BSG said, we can't get you Pilsner malt.
What?
No. How dare you?
And for a brewery that brews a lot
German
of
style
Belgian
beers.
and German style beers, you
Yeah.
need the Pilsner malt. So we were kind of like, they got us
Just the right time.
a
Like they knew.
substitute for that one brew we were doing, and then we were like, okay,
We need the real stuff.
This isn't a long-term solution. It's just subbing out. So we were talking to Mike, and so he kind of has a backdoor into Irex, which is one of the biggest malt companies in Germany. They supply like Weinstefan and Augustiner. So we get Irex malt through him. And I won't go back. It's superb.
There's a reason why those breweries use that malt, right? Yeah.
And they've, I believe Weinstefaner is the oldest brewery in the world by receipt. So they found a receipt from like just past like 1,000
Oh, Jesus.
AD, and when
I
they sold
believe it.
beer. So they've. I think they're coming up on their 1,000th anniversary. So,
Oh, my God.
So if they're using it, if it's good enough for them,
It's good enough for
good
you.
enough for me.
Yeah.
But I would say, personally, I think the yeast is the most important. It actually makes the beer. All I do is make work.
Right?
So it makes the beer.
You make homes for the yeast, really.
Right. I give it a nice, tasty meal.
Yeah.
And then it works for us. And,
For better or worse sometimes.
yeah. But there's I wouldn't say it's untapped, but it's, there's an aspect of brewing where you can control what the yeast does. So whether that's restricting the amount of oxygen you put into the wort, stressing that yeast out.
It's like increasing esters.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so without giving it away to everybody out there, that's something we do with the Hef. The Hefeweizen is our most complicated brew by far in terms of mashing, and then what we do to the yeast to stress that out a little bit to produce those esters and some of those phenols. But you just can't brew a really good authentic Pilsner with dry yeast.
Yeah.
You're limited to what the yeast can do. That's ultimately what's making the beer. So I would say long-winded way of saying I think the yeast is It's the most important part.
It's interesting you said the word authentic, and I want to get into the word authentic or true to style on the other end of these.
Can we look it up in a dictionary?
We can, but we're gonna talk about it on the other end of these messages from our sponsors. So Ryan, take it away.
Are you a solo artist, band, podcaster, or anyone else who needs recording services?
Well, we got a place for you where your vision can become a reality.
Welcome to Small Pond Studios, built by hand with heart and sweat equity by musicians for musicians.
Go to smallpondstudios.io to reach out to get more information. And make sure you let them know that Brew sent you. Hey, Sound Guy Ryan here. Didn't know if you heard, but we're a part of the Hopped Up Network. There you'll find other informative podcasts about beer. So go ahead, follow them on social media, and visit them on their website, hoppedupnetwork.com, to learn more about the people, beer, and breweries from around the country. And until next time, thanks for listening. Cheers.
So I think a lot in the craft beer, the internets and the Twitterverse, people say, "Oh, that's not true to style," or "That's true to style." I saw you roll your eyes. Do you care about true to style?
Yes and no.
Okay. That's a great answer, by the way.
Really nailing it.
Yeah. No. I mean that honestly, because I think it's a stupid word, a stupid phrase.
No, but some people really want to focus on being
authentic.
Authentic. That's the word. Thank you. Authentic, right? And some are just it's Inspired. Thank you. It's inspired by whatever. Inspired Dunkel. It's not. We know it's not true to style. It's an Americanized version.
And sometimes it's for the best.
Yes, exactly. Because it's not going to be authentic.
Yeah, sometimes
it's not brewed there.
Correct.
You don't have the right equipment. You don't have the right
ingredient. It's not achievable.
It's inspired by.
Correct.
Right.
Cool. So the reason I say yes and no is because, really there is no. If you like a beer, if you're drinking it and you're enjoying it, there's no way it's a bad beer. Right. Someone is enjoying it. And the Germans, they were the first ones to tell me this. They said, They posed the question basically when we were over there in a business class. They said, "Well, why do you guys? I'm assuming you guys want to start a brewery or work in a brewery. Why?" And the most common answer was, "Oh, because there's so much bad beer out there. I think I can make better beer."
I just be like, beer.
And they shook their head and they were like, "No,
you don't get it." Yeah.
If people are buying the beer, it can't be a bad beer." Because beer is subjective, and if people are paying for it willingly, then it's not a bad beer.
The fact that they're saying that, just an aside, that kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. So it's just like music.
They get it.
Just like music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And but at the same hand, we try to brew beer that brings us back to those beer gardens in Germany and Munich. So when we brew that Helles, we want to use the same malt that Augustiner's using. We want to use the same yeast. We want to use the same water profile, similar hops, and we don't try to copy their recipe or their beer, but using those authentic ingredients, we try to make our...
You pay your homage to it.
Right, exactly. And, I do think there's something to be said about using those same ingredients, the same brewing process, and the same technology. And it gives us an ability, unlike anywhere I've been before, to brew those styles
to get as
correctly.
close as you can to the proper whatever.
And if you want to make a Helles, brew a Helles that you then turn around and dry hop with, your favorite hop varietal, That's not to say that that's not true to style, so it's a bad beer. That's, it could be a very delicious beer. So I did roll my eyes a little bit. I don't like, it's more of the Twitterverse in general.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's a critic. Everyone is the most knowledgeable beer person there is out there. Yeah. So, it doesn't have to be that hard. Yeah. drink the beer, and if we enjoy it, then it's a good beer.
Yeah.
Do you think those styles should be, I don't know, like, should they say it's a dry hopped Helles, or how do you, or do you just call it a Helles? You know, like,
Yeah, there's so many categories.
you know, there's so,
at this
like,
point, yeah.
Right.
like, does it need its own category, or does it just need to be said, hey, this is a Helles, but we did a little something extra to it just for fun, you know?
Yeah, I would. I mean, that's up to the person making it
Yeah.
to decide. You know, I would probably go with something like a dry hopped German style Helles.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Just be honest with what it is.
Yeah.
Front.
Yeah.
You know, and own it, because no one. I'm not gonna say no one will do this, because there definitely will be people that do this, but no one should really drink that beer and be like, I liked it, but it said German style Helles on it, and technically
Right.
a Helles isn't dry hopped, so
Yeah.
We know those people.
Well, did you enjoy the beer or did you not? Because that's really the most important question.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Do you find as though we've talked a ton about German style beers, right? But we're in America. We're in America.
What?
No, America. And we all know what the number one style craft beer is. It's the New England style IPA.
No.
Yep.
Listen, I like it sometimes. I don't know.
I'd argue now it's just IPA. Anything IPA, right?
I mean, you're out there selling.
I would honestly have to agree with you. I think, I would say even now, it's like, it's not even just, the hazy IPAs anymore. You know, what's actually starting to make a comeback is the West Coast IPA.
It is.
And it's like, I see it.
I was hoping it was going to be the Brute. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's just like you.
That had a
it's
moment.
Like,
Yeah.
One month.
Real quick.
It's the cold IPA now. Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like blank IPA, fill in the blank,
Yeah.
right?
Milkshake.
And
Yeah.
It'll have a moment,
That'll
right?
have its moment, and it will sell no matter what for a short period of time. But sometimes that's all you need is, all right, we're gonna make this. It's gonna sell because we label it blank IPA. Yeah.
That's the thing that really cracks me up about this industry, though. It's like, the buzzwords that people come up
Yeah,
with like
absolutely.
all the time. And it's
Love a
just
good
like
buzzword.
It's like, 1 week, like you were just saying, it's like 1 week is, this IPA is this. And then the next week it's totally different, it's relabeled as and rehashed into something totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, overall, I'd agree with you. It's probably the IPA in general, but maybe the hazy New England style is
Especially this area
still reigns supreme at least
sure.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So does Great Marsh have an IPA?
We have a few different IPAs. Yes, Mac, you want to take it over and kind of
So we have
in depth.
we have our APA, which
It's American Pale Ale.
it's an American Pale Ale. It's
Yeah.
really I would most liken it to like a whirlpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nice.
So-
nice joke.
Yep.
Yep.
So definitely those characteristics of a New England IPA, just in a smaller body,
Yeah.
a lot more sessionable. And then we have our New England IPA series. So we have I think 14 at this point.
Jesus.
That we've gone through, just different iterations
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
So we're playing with. It's always a work in progress. We're playing with the hops. We're playing with the malt. It's so I would say our V7 IPA is the most popular. And with that, it's we do things a little bit differently with those. So we're not using
Cornstarch, flour.
flour. It's still
It's
everything we do here, besides the 3 Belgian beers in the vanilla stout, is technically brewed under the Reinheitsgebot. So we
Ooh, wow.
we have
Good for you guys.
no finings, just 4 ingredients. We don't add flour. Well,
oh, you do. Okay.
Well, no, actually,
let me walk 2 bags. Let me walk that back. We do not use flour, but technically malted or flaked oats and flaked
Yes,
wheat
of course.
is not a malt, so it's not
Right.
it doesn't fit. But yeah, I mean we use Crisp Best, so it's a UK
Yep.
barley strain,
Yeah,
and it's slightly different. It's a little more sweet and maltier than
Yep.
your typical New England IPA, which I would describe as just hop forward
Yep.
on steroids. Just
Ooh.
Hop forward on steroids, bringing
Love
it back
it.
to the early 2000s.
Yeah,
Let's go.
buddy.
they're very dry hop forward.
Cool.
Awesome.
So, you know, we do things a little bit differently. They're still popular. I still think you need one, especially in this area.
Are you still naming them like IPA number or V whatever?
For now.
For now. Yeah, no, because I remember when
Stay
you guys
tuned.
first opened,
Dun, dun,
right? Like, I'm pretty sure on the list it was like IPA 1 through, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something.
Let's just put it this way: we've kind of slowed it down and kind of taken a step back with how many different IPAs we have, and I think right now it's more so like the V7 has kind of become like the mainstay. And we
Gotcha.
also have like a big brother version of that, which is our V14, which is like a it's
Double.
a double New England IPA.
Yep.
And which
All right, getting clever
you're
with the
brewing.
name.
Right?
Yeah, you're brewing that again soon, right?
Yeah. We're doing,
Unfortunately.
we're doing these this week. In the next 2 weeks, we probably have eight beers we need to brew.
Wow.
Of which 3 are new. 1 is coming back
Okay.
from a year-long hiatus,
And which one is that?
and that would be the German Pils.
Okay.
So we are
Love the German
gonna
Pils.
we're gonna change that, tweak it a little bit, and we have a Mexican lager coming out, which I'm not going to divulge a secret that we're using, but
Stay tuned.
it was from my I got it from my good friend who I went to school with in Germany, who used to work at Stone. Worked there for a couple of years, so he gave me a little
Secret
Insider.
insider knowledge on
Love
how they approach that. And we did a small pilot batch at our pilot brewery,
Yeah.
and it was awesome.
Cool.
It was very popular.
I
So
love it.
Is it on the bright right now?
it's
or no,
not.
you haven't brewed yet?
Hasn't even brewed it yet.
No,
All
it's-
right.
yeah, it's on
I've had a
it's on
couple.
the brew schedule. It's probably next week. I would
All right.
say it's going in.
We'll be back.
Yeah. So I have a question. You mentioned a Mexican lager. What's your opinion on it, like Italian pills? Is it a real thing?
I think it's a dry hop pills.
All right, thank
Well, so
you.
then
Thank you.
what is a Mexican lager?
Correct.
Yeah,
A Mexican lager is a Vienna lager. That is
brewed in Mexico.
Brewed in Mexico.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Boom.
Exactly.
All right, cool.
There we
Okay.
go.
That's fine.
This wasn't a got you question. It's
No.
just we hear like.
But literally, we got you.
I think the sexy term is like Italian pills, right? Like we.
right.
It is. Yeah. I mean,
And then we hear things like cold IPA now.
Yeah.
Is cold IPA a real thing? Is that here to stay, or is that a brewed IPA?
it's just an IPA
And what's the
with
difference
lager
between the
yeast.
IPL and the cold IPA?
Right.
So, I mean, this is totally subjective. I think IPL, as in, it's a lager
Yep.
that is treated and brewed like a
IPA. Yeah.
Whereas a cold IPA can be, you start playing with the yeast strains. I still don't like. I don't really embrace that term,
Okay.
cold IPA, but
If you could name it, what would you name it?
Matt's IPA.
Yeah.
name it after you. Yeah. Well, I kind of liked what Notch did.
Okay.
So they released something. It was very similar to a beer we actually released last spring. We opted to call it an American wheat.
Okay.
Really, what it was an American pale ale brewed with, where we fermented it with Kolsch yeast.
Okay.
So they did something similar. They called it a cool IPA,
Cool, yeah.
KUHL.
Oh,
Because of the
yeah.
Kolsch. Yeah.
Because of the Kolsch. And that's the thing where I saw that, and they came out with that like 2 or 3 months after we
Yeah.
did the American wheat, and I was like, God damn it, that's such a better name.
Come on, Chris. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
We were actually
Killing
just
it.
there over the weekend. We
we went
took
there
like a little
Saturday.
like
Group field trip.
team bonding exercise, whatever you
cute.
want to call it.
What a terrible brewery to go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, we had a great
Yeah,
time,
they're awesome.
and we didn't talk to Chris, but we saw him like in the distance wandering around.
He's really tall, so it's hard to.
Was there a sun setting behind him? Was it really beautiful?
But we love everything they do. I think their beer is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So shout out to Notch.
Do you aspire kind of to be that?
I don't think we aspire to be Notch. I think what they did for craft beer and the craft beer community is, kind of lay the groundwork to be like, okay, it is acceptable.
You can do this.
Whether it's not it's not out of the realm of possibility to open up a brewery and brew things that are not IPAs.
Yeah.
So I'm greatly appreciative for what they've done for the industry, and I think there's definitely some similarities between us.
Yep.
But what I really, really love about those guys is you don't see it a lot, is they are true to the brewing style and the brewing technique. So they will, I think I saw an Instagram post from him on his story where he's trying like a beer and he's like, okay, only 6 more weeks to go.
Yeah.
Lager. It's like I love that.
He'll like triple decoct, or he'll do like crazy stuff. He'll be like,
So, I mean, like even just doing
dawn until midnight doing this.
I mean, even to talk
decoction.
about like pitch 9 pills, right? Like that's like
absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about Great Marsh.
No,
So,
totally. Definitely.
I'm going to be honest with you, and this is not to be like sour grapes. I came here on opening night, and the beer was fine. Don't get me wrong, but it's not. I think we're very spoiled in the Massachusetts, New England area, where I live in Raleigh, right? And within my 30-mile radius, I can go to like 50 different breweries.
Right.
And I'm very spoiled. I mean, Notch is so close to me, Sylvaticus, True North, to name just a few, right? And they have awesome beer. I mean, GABF World Cup winning beers.
Yeah.
And when I came here initially, the beer was good. And coming here again today,
2 years later,
the beer is phenomenal.
World class.
Yeah. I mean, this is not just to be like, you guys are in front of me. It's a total change, in my opinion, of the beer that came here. I mean, this is a brewery I think I would recommend for people to come. What has changed in the 2 years that, maybe from opening night?
Really a lot of change.
Okay.
So I can't speak to Great Marsh back then. I was not a part of it.
when did you come a part of it? Just to clear that up.
March 2020.
Right.
Okay.
About 4 months after.
Everything went to shit. The pandemic.
5 months after opening. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the pandemic.
Oh, no-
Yeah.
No, but it was. I started like the week
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
of the pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. That's what I was.
These stories
referring to.
before.
Which is lucky for me because I do not think if my start date was 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, I would have been brought on. I think they would have had to say like,
Sorry, man.
we don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So let's, but yeah, so I started then, and as we've grown as a company and taken on different endeavors and kind of explored what we want to do, of course the beer is first and foremost, as it should be. But people started taking on different roles and, different ways to help the company. And
I should also just advise, like, going to a brewery on opening night is not the best.
No, I was gonna say,
barometer of a
don't
brewery.
ever judge a brewery on the first night you go there.
Yeah.
Please go there, support them, appreciate what they're doing, but go back.
Yeah,
6 months
revisit.
later,
Yeah.
a couple months later, and then assess, because that first night they are flying by their shirt tails,
We had
just trying to survive.
we had police detail out there for like probably I don't know.
Jeez.
Probably like
Love a good
first-
police detail.
At least the first few weeks, or
Really?
a month or something like
Come
that.
on.
It was ridiculous. I mean, it was at least every weekend,
Yeah.
for like the first month or so. So yeah, this place was jamming the first.
Yeah.
few
It still
weeks.
is. I
It
mean, if
still
you
is.
drive by, but I'm curious, like the changes. Like, let's
So-
go back to that. Yeah.
Right. So, I think that's just that was part of the growing process where, we have this fantastic facility with,
I would honestly,
World class.
I would say you have
Yes.
the best brewery on the North Shore.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love what Notch is doing. I love what Sylvaticus is doing. And this is speaking without qualification, so I don't want anyone to come at us, but like, I think you have a world-class brewery here.
For sure.
Thank you.
And it's we have the ability to make
Whatever
great
you want,
beer
really.
that you know, you could take me and my recipes and put me in a different brew house, and it's like it
doesn't translate.
can't be the same. So we have that added advantage, and then you know, there's all these bells and whistles that come along with it, and I think really getting into it, you know, we're kind of learning how to use some of these bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's where I came in, and I know, you know, what Schwinding is. I know how to do it. I know what it adds to the beer, and so what we weren't using some of these add-ons that we had got.
Yeah.
We were just kind of doing basic
Hosting, if you
brewing
will.
to not blow anything up.
Yeah.
And
need the tap
now
lines
we're
full, yeah.
now we're really getting creative with it, in terms of how we can push this equipment to its limit. So one example is I'll bring it back to the Hefeweizen. That's 60% of that grain bill is wheat.
Yep.
Which, if you tell that to some brewers around here, they would have a heart attack.
But it should be,
because
right?
by law in Germany it has to be 50% or above.
Right.
Some go as high as 70.
Yep.
I opted for 60, but
What a good
our
good call. Good call. Yeah.
do you guys see how I got to that number?
Yeah.
I love it.
But you know, like our lauter ton can handle that.
Yeah.
It was designed to do that.
Right.
But
So-
others aren't.
But others aren't.
Yeah.
So
But that's like the other thing is people get mad at people who don't decoct, right? And they're adding, what's the acid that they're adding to get that same? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Me too.
Yeah, but you know, to get that same profile, people will add other,
Lactic acid? Is that
No,
what
it's
you're
not
thinking?
lactic acid.
Okay.
No, but it's a limitation of the equipment sometimes.
it is, and I'm not going to, you know, poo-poo decoction.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's something really cool and really, you know, technically savvy. But
Is it a sexy term?
it's a marketing term.
Okay. Yeah.
For the most part, it's
Why?
because it used to be required. So you needed to do that because the malt coming from the maltster
Was not as good.
was
as it is
so
now.
unmodified
Yeah.
that you had to go through that process. That's just not the case anymore. And the Germans will be the first ones to tell you that they all do it because they can say they did it. So
They don't need to do it anymore.
they don't need to do it necessarily for the beer. You know, I know a handful of people that will
Chris is going to
vehemently
kill
deny
you.
that.
Chris is gonna be like, "Hey, where's Mac at? Where's Mac at?"
That being said, I love decoction.
Yep.
Still do it.
Good. Smart.
Nice save.
I can say I did it, and I personally think it's cool. And maybe, like, you know, a handful of people can really sit down and have a double decocted Helles versus a non-decoction and tell the difference.
Yeah.
But I think as far as a general consumer goes,
So do you think a
can't.
lot of the times breweries forget that they are selling to a general consumer and they are actually just selling to, you know, the person working the 9 to 5 and just wants something that's not Bud Light?
absolutely. And I think it's hard as brewers who are super passionate about what we do and what we like, and we have very niche tastes. It's we sometimes I have to step back and be like, wait,
Yeah.
we can't keep pushing the envelope on, you know, Trappist Single, and how do we get weird and funky?
So you have to
with
make
it?
money and
a business.
also, do
business.
things that you want to brew.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to back up just a little bit.
How much?
Not that much,
Not that much?
actually.
You sure?
Yeah, no, we're
Okay.
talking about the bells and whistles, right?
Ooh.
And me coming from an industry where
Fishies?
people, my sound industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sound industry where the bells and whistles I find and I see young designers or engineers get distracted by the bells and whistles, right? They get all caught up and be like, I can do this because I have X, Y, and Z. Do you find that similar in a young brewer or someone who's young in the brewing industry? They're distracted by those bells and whistles and they don't get the focus on the main ingredients and the foundation of what they're trying to accomplish.
I don't know if I've necessarily seen that or experienced that. I can definitely see that being the case. You need to know, like anything in life, like I don't care if it's music or sound or brewing or golf,
yarn,
yeah,
knitting.
Sewing. It's you need to know the fundamentals first, and then everything else
will follow suit.
It follows it. You can start once you have the fundamentals, then you can start playing with different techniques and really kind of get creative with it. But yeah, I can see someone getting carried away with, oh, we're gonna naturally ferment and we're gonna do
open
this.
fermentation.
Yeah,
and we're gonna
right.
Just because you have this piece of gear doesn't mean it's gonna be good.
Right. If you don't know how to drive a car, buying a Lamborghini is going to do you no good.
Why
You're gonna look cool.
So
It's gonna be so fly.
you're going to look cool until you
Crash it.
drive it into the marsh.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. You'll be able to take some really cool pictures.
I mean,
of that.
right? From a
on.
sales perspective,
You
that
know,
sounds
like-
great.
But
well, that's what marketing is for.
Get a lot of likes.
I'm actually going to go back to that, right? We've had companies that have established a name for themselves even before their doors are open, like Vitamin C, right? They were
box,
the cooler, right?
cooler
They were
box, yeah.
actually able to establish a brand and following before liquid even hit most of the people's mouths. You guys didn't have that. So how are you, Josh, going into the market and convincing people, not convincing, but people, conveying that you should go to Great Marsh, you should go on 133, and you should pass, True North, Ipswich Ales on your way to Great Marsh?
I would say, kind of based on everything that we talked about tonight. I mean, I would say that, it goes back to the building itself, and the beauty of this entire building, the beauty of Essex, the beauty of the Great Marsh. I mean, having this place was actually was supposed to be a destination brewery from the get-go. The pandemic kind of threw like a little bit of a wrench in that whole idea.
Made it more of a destination?
Made it more of a destination. But I would say that you come here and you take a look in the inside of this brewery and you just see what we're all about. I mean, you just know that this is a place that makes an incredible beer, even before you even try out the beer itself.
Before you continue, how do people know that?
So
I'll be honest with you,
know that because we're here drinking a
but
beer
I've gone
right
to a
now.
lot of great restaurants that serve shitty food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say, again, going back to, I would say we use some of the best, we have some of the best brewing equipment, technical expertise from Mac. The fact that we reverse engineer our water to replicate the water profiles from anywhere around the world. And, we use premium ingredients, it's just, we're willing to kind of, take the boundaries and expand them to our liking. And, but I think that this place as a whole just kind of shows that. Yep. But the fact that we're able to actually do those things, it makes us a little more outstanding than most.
So I'm the hop head, and I just care about the haziest beer in the world. And I don't mean I'm done, but seriously,
Matt's a hophead.
I want to care about this place. And how do we get people that they want just that New England style IPA, and they want the haziest, juiciest IPA that they can get? I mean, I think it's great. I respect the shit out of what you're doing. But for every one of Erica, Matt, and Ryan, there are 500 different hop heads out there, right? That want that heady topper, which is a shitty example. They want haze. They want King Julius. They want something.
There you go.
Why go to Great Marsh?
Because I think we bring the most authentic continental and German experience on this side of the pond that you're going to get. And again, most breweries these days, you're going to really experience, hop forward, hazy New England IPAs. And, it's sort of like,
it's a cool style. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, it's a great style. It's just sort of become a dime a dozen, in my opinion. And I think it's become so much so where, the traditional beers have now become untraditional.
Yeah. Oh, so true.
So it's like we're basically taking those traditional styles and and we're making them more traditional.
You're making them cool again.
We're making them cool again. But and honestly, the traditional styles, they were, beer has and is it's supposed to challenge the palate. Yep. The reason why a lot of people kind of gear themselves towards the hazy New England IPAs, sours. It's because they're less challenging to the palate. They're easier drinking beers. They're just they kind of.
That's why McDonald's is the number one.
Right. It's sort of one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's a one size fits all beer. You can take somebody that's never drank a beer before and hand them a hazy New England IPA, and more times
tastes like orange juice.
Yeah, times than not, they're going to be like, wow, this is pleasant. Yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that the beer, what we're doing over here, it's more of that authentic, German and continental experience.
Can I just say something?
I was just gonna say that you're a great sales.
Yeah.
But I'm sold.
In my opinion, Great Marsh, why you are selling great beer, you're not selling the beer. In my opinion, you're selling the experience that coming to this tap room and seeing what it's like, because you walk into this place and honestly, this is one of the nicest tap rooms I've been to.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's clean. You see everything.
Yeah.
But I think you guys also have a huge part to play in that, like you guys are really just welcoming and really teaching us like what you guys are all about.
The fact that the head brewer is spending time at the tap, and I've gone to many breweries that have done this, but to even just spend the time just to, shoot the shit, and you might not even agree with 90% of the shit that's probably being said to you, but you're like, I'm still going to have this conversation because you're passionate about the industry.
That's something that we decided we were going to do from the get-go, which was almost like a brewer's get to know
round
the
table
brewer
kind of thing.
So typically every Friday or Thursday, depending on my personal schedule, I try to.
Do you have a personal life? No.
I do. Yeah. It's really small. It's really small.
Shit, man.
But I try to go out and after I'm done doing what I have to do in the brewery, I try to go out and I'm not a hero by any means at just pouring beers and doing extra time. Like I'll pour myself a beer and I'll sit down with some of the customers and just talk.
Yeah. You brew beer, you're a hero in my mind.
So is it fair to say that you're selling beer? Don't get me wrong. Right at the end of the day, everyone who's selling beer wants to make money, and it's not. If you tell me that you just brewing beer for fun, it's like
bullshit.
You're home brewer and you're just doing it for fun.
You don't get $3 million worth of brew equipment to brew it for fun.
But you are brewing a passion, right? And I think the passion is trying to come forward through the beer.
It definitely translates in the beer that you make.
I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Josh is saying. It's why come to Great Marsh? It's about that experience. It's about, we're not just brewing beer. We're trying to bring that culture that we discovered
and fell in love with
over in Germany and fell in love with back here. And whether people like it or not, the number one style in the world is the Pilsner. So,
is that fact?
It's a fact.
Okay.
I mean,
he's making it a fact right now.
When you think of it,
but I'm curious.
Technically, Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, Miller Lite, Coors Light, they're all technically a Pilsner.
Okay.
Which they consider
Pilsner
like lager.
style.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
But you go to Germany, you go to Belgium, the Netherlands,
Czech Republic.
It's just, Czech Republic in particular, they drink the most amount of beer in the world per capita.
Yep.
There's not a hazy New England IPA to be seen.
What? What do they drink there?
It's all these styles that have existed for 1,000 years, and they do it well. They all love it. So, seeing that really opened up my eyes.
Yep.
I'm sitting here in Springfest, the same fairgrounds that Oktoberfest is held in, and there's 5,000 people in this tent. Everyone is drinking a liter of Helles.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a dream.
So it's like there is a market there.
Yeah.
It's about educating.
It's just an untapped
consumer
market right here.
and educating the consumer into, you know.
I promise this beer is good. Please try it.
And that's, you know, honestly, that is a little bit of my, you know, sales approach to some extent. You know, what I tell a lot of people, I tell people like, listen, like I can sit here all day until I'm blue in the face and tell you this beer is amazing. But I think like, you know, I give people samples and try the beer, but I tell them, I was like, the beer speaks for itself. You know, it really speaks for itself. So.
Everyone in Europe loves this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, but do you think, and we were going to be wrapping this up soon, but do you think that I hate the word vocal minority, but I think that a lot of the hop heads out there, and we might lose listeners for this statement, but they're very vocal about a New England style hop forward beer, where it's so to the counterculture of a Bud Light or a Budweiser. And you know what? I'm going to say it right here. If you go to if you get a Budweiser in a can, a bottle, if you go to Japan, if you go to Arizona, it's all the same. And there's a lot to say with consistency in beer, because I think, you know,
the best quality control in the world.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot to say about that, because there's not many breweries around the area, New England or beyond, that if you were to brew that same style of Pilsner, that same style of IPA from batch to batch, and you were to quality control it across the board, it's not going to be the same. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I can have that conversation. But at the end of,
you're absolutely right. That's why they are who they are.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, do you think it's because, yes, a New England style IPA is delicious, and I want to drink it, and a milkshake IPA is great, and a pastry stout is great, but is it just because it's so to the extreme of a difference between that very palatable, drinkable drink that people don't gravitate towards those styles?
In my opinion, I believe so.
Okay.
I think that
Very important, your opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my opinion, like you said, you know, I have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with those styles. They're not beer styles that I necessarily gravitate towards these days.
But you can see why other people do.
I get it. I totally get it. But like, you know, I would much rather, you know, drink a pint of our Dunkles.
But you're in the industry.
Well, that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Love that
Right.
style, but find a craft beer version.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a conversation that we have
Every day.
almost daily.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know, let's take a step back, take a broader look at our menu. I'm like, to me, this is beautiful.
Right, but you've had that
every-
experience.
But is that going to sell?
Yeah.
Because, like you referenced earlier, it's a business.
Yeah.
So we have to sell beer. If you're too stuck in your ways, which is I'm making beer for myself, you tend to have a hard time.
Yeah.
With the business side of things, and you know,
Unless you're innovating the industry.
right. I think at the same time, you can have, if you cater to the customer, you run the risk of losing who you are and what you want to do. So it's like everything in life.
Gotta balance
It's
it.
a balance.
Yeah.
And I will slightly tease a future development later in this year that's coming out.
Just drop the pipe bomb. Come on, man, just do it.
It's we'll say it's going to be similar to, you guys familiar with Shilling?
Yes.
Oh, we've heard of them.
We enjoy
We've interviewed them.
Yes.
Big fans of Shilling.
My favorite brewery personally.
They're pretty amazing.
in the United States.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They know what they're
Something
doing. Yeah.
similar to their resilience project, where we want to be
Oh, love it.
doing a separate site.
Yes.
Some more hop forward
Right. Yep.
stouts, some of that stuff, because there's
a market for it.
There's a market for it, and there's a place for it within the broader spectrum of beer. Right? It's not, you can't sit here and say, well, you know, Pilsners and Helleses and
That's the only
Dunkles,
beer.
those are the only real beers. So there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
I just think what we're trying to do here is show people that, you know, we're not trying to shut out New England IPAs or pastry stouts. All we're trying to do is show people there are other beer styles, and they can be damn good, and you can have a good time enjoying them.
I'm going to say they are damn good, but that's a hot take, yeah.
Yes. So is there any kind of style that you won't brew because you're too concerned that it won't sell?
No.
But you love it.
No.
No, nothing.
And you guys aren't doing sours,
That's awesome.
though, right?
So that's not a sales issue.
Yep.
There's a huge market for it.
Yep.
It's
infection.
If I were to brew a sour, we could do a
Kettle.
We could do a kettle sour.
Yeah.
I don't
you just
want
don't
to.
feel. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. You want to do a real
I would want to do a mixed firm.
spontaneous farm. Yeah.
Proper, quote unquote.
If we're gonna do that, we're really putting our canning line at risk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's something that we won't do at this facility.
You've mentioned at this facility. Do you have another facility that you can't speak of?
That may be what I was hinting at.
Okay.
Wow.
Is a new facility in
Another location.
in another location later into this year.
Galaxy far, far away. Yeah.
Yes.
But
It's in space.
but yeah, I mean there's no style that I won't brew. I
That's
won't
awesome.
touch, because if I haven't really been exposed to it and had too much experience with it, then I want to. So
Right.
you know,
And you know what? You could educate the customers, be like, no, you're going to like this.
and we
Drink it.
we educate ourselves too. If we're going to
Right,
brew a
right.
style that we haven't really played with, we will go out and we will buy every single beer of that style that we can find, and then we'll sit down and we'll have it's really, really hard.
We've had one of those
We sit
before.
down and
They're intense.
Yeah.
They can be trying, yeah.
We drink
Yeah.
beer for like 3 hours and talk about it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
By
hard.
the end of the night, you're like,
I don't want to talk
What
about this
style?
Yeah.
Wait, is this a Helles or a Schwartz?
Yeah,
Yeah, no
right.
kidding.
I can't see colors anymore.
So,
Yes.
in a world of Massachusetts beer scene in the North Shore region where there's 15 to 20 different breweries, why do people care? Why should people care about Great Marsh?
Go for it, Mac.
I'm not
Let's
the
hear
sales
it.
guy.
Let's hear it.
But
No, but we
Sell
want
it.
at the end of the day, we want people to come here and enjoy the beer. I mean, we had a great time tonight with the beer.
this is what we're doing tonight is what we tend to do during the week, which is
Really?
sit down and educate people, have conversations, have beers,
Shoot the shit.
shoot the shit. Like I'll be here 12 hours a day and I'll love it because
You're doing what you care about.
I'm doing what I love, and you know, part of that, those 12 hours are talking to other people, and you know, I will have a beer too.
Yeah.
So that's not really a.
It's not an on
There's
the
worse
clock. Yeah,
things.
yeah.
So you know, it's what we're selling is the experience. We want to educate people. We want people to be familiar with what we have to offer, and you know, come the spring and summer when our beer garden opens up, you know, for our Oktoberfest celebration, we had Carl's Sausage Kitchen.
Love them. Yeah.
Love them.
Yep.
So they took our Märzen lager and they made sausage with it, and then we cooked that up and we served it with liter pours.
On a
or
side note,
half-liter pours.
we
of
haven't
wine.
even mentioned, you guys serve food here.
Yeah, but we will. Yeah.
Yeah. So we
do.
We do.
You have a restaurant. What?
Right. And, you know, it's the tours, the beer, the food pairings. It's the whole, we're trying to
You're doing the whole thing.
give
shebang.
everyone the whole experience. So if you can't fly over to
Germany.
Munich and experience
Great Marsh.
that beer culture, come here. It's very similar.
I am curious about Great Marsh and other offerings that they have to people who don't just drink beer. You've talked about, you know, your Pilsner, your lagers, even the IPAs. But, for example, my girlfriend does not drink beer.
Seltzers.
Do you have seltzers?
We do. We do. Yep.
And what's your opinion on seltzers before we get into it?
So
Necessary evil?
I think I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, cool.
I think they have a place. Obviously, for some people, it's not a choice whether they drink beer or not. They can't.
Exactly.
So,
Great way to look at it.
True.
Yeah, great way to look at it.
so you know, in any alternative beverage that we sell, it helps the bottom line.
But you have a full liquor license, right?
So We actually have
No?
No, we don't. The brewery does not. We have a farmer brewer's license.
But you're able to sell other
but
things.
the restaurant upstairs has a
Gotcha.
full liquor license.
Okay.
So,
Upstairs. Exclusive upstairs. You're not allowed to serve that stuff downstairs.
for now,
Stay tuned. Stay
are-
tuned. Yeah.
Yep.
things are up in the air. So yeah, I would definitely stay tuned to our social media. But things are changing. But yeah, the seltzers they're great. We also engineer that water. So John, the founder, he discovered basically when the he's the first one to come up with it.
Oh my God.
I believe it.
Don't tell Jim. Don't tell Jim Cook.
So he flew out German welders to weld all the we have like 3 kilometers worth of hard piping in here.
Yeah.
And they're welding and all, and they wanted something to drink, obviously not alcoholic. And they didn't want water. They didn't want tap water. They didn't want still water. They wanted seltzer. So he had to go out to the store and buy them
Like polar seltzer.
like polar seltzer.
Jesus.
And they were like, okay, this is like,
a subpar at best.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those
so-
Germans. No.
So he started experimenting and researching, and he found that that the origin of seltzer comes from Selters, Germany, and it's a natural spring that comes up out of the ground, carbonated, full of minerals.
What?
Yeah, mind blown.
No black
Yeah.
cherry flavors.
What
though,
is
right?
this nonsense?
So he, like we do with our beer,
He gets water from there?
found the water profile. It's all public knowledge, and
Is there like a Wikipedia for water profiles?
no, you have to dig around.
Okay, cool. I just want to know.
You can
Just-
go like
You can find it.
you can go to like the city's
Yeah.
web page, and you can dig around their water section, and you can
You can
find
pretty much
their
get what you get.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can request it if it's online, but it's all public knowledge. So he basically did that and recreated this Niederseltzer's Germany water profile. So then we just did it originally for ourselves to drink. So we have a designated tap of just unflavored carbonated seltzer water,
non-alcoholic.
non-alcoholic, that we drink.
We drank a ton.
Like,
Is it better than Topo Chico? Have you had Topo Chico?
I've had Topo
Yes.
Chico. It's better than Topo Chico.
100.
What?
I'm gonna have to fuck with this.
Oh
'cause
my
I'm
God.
a big Topo Chico mark.
Dang.
Like,
So,
yeah.
No, it's legit. I probably go through at least, it's like, honestly, hopefully my doctor's not listening. This is like an unhealthy amount.
No, water's good for you.
Just
So
carbonated water.
I drink
right?
I drink
Good
like
for
almost
you.
2 gallons of it a day.
That's good
Love
for you.
it.
That's a lot.
But it was so good. We were like, we had this conversation. It was like one of my first weeks here. I sat down with John. We're like, all right, first of all, how do we program into the Braucon system? Because we don't need the louder ton. We have to bypass certain things. So we had to write our own recipe and go into the coding and figure out how to get it, basically trick that system into making seltzer when it thought it was making beer. We did it. And then once we got it on draft and we were drinking it, we're like, why not put some alcohol in
Let's
this?
sell it. Shit.
So basically what I came up with is we took that seltzer water that
That rocks.
that's rocks that John formulated, and I fermented it out to about 17%.
Whoa.
and then you water it down.
And then
I'd hope so.
took a page out of Budweiser, little high gravity brewing situation. So we do high gravity brewing. We brew it to 17%. We dilute it down. So that seltzer water, that 70%, is also using our mineral water, and then we dilute it down with pure mineral water down to a sessionable 4.5%.
Yeah. What are you flavoring with?
So just natural flavor extracts.
Okay. You are using extracts at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all alcohol based. So there's no carbs. It's not like
Gluten free too, right?
it's all gluten free. So there obviously are carbs, but not from the flavor. So we've experimented with probably close to
Do you have a favorite flavor?
mango by far.
I love mango.
But
Josh, what about you?
I would say, yeah, probably mango.
Okay.
Smart.
Is mango on tap right now?
so we don't have it on tap. We have one tap with hard seltzer, and then we can flavor it
Do you have the shots?
how vice?
So it was a lot of
It
was a lot of math on my part. We had to basically back into. We got a bunch of these dosers, kind of how Starbucks, will flavor things.
Your experience, I like
So-
that. Yeah.
It all comes to play here.
We will basically pump in the flavor, and it's a blended down flavor that's also the extract is blended using our seltzer water again. So it's and it works out to be the same in a pint glass as it is in the can that we make. So we do that. We save ourselves 10 taps. We have 10 flavors.
Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Super smart.
Yeah, it's really good. It's the first thing we actually started selling in retail.
So that's in distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your opinion on distribution? It's a tough cookie to crack, right?
So again, going back to so when I first started out at Great Marsh, I was originally in the brew house, and then so Doug, our other sales guy, he actually started basically taking the Spaß out to distribution at first.
Spaß.
Spaß, which I don't know if was mentioned, but that was the German word for fun.
Spaß. Not to be pronounced Spabi or Spab, which we get a lot.
Well, how is it spelled?
So it's
Probably spelled
SPA.
Spabby.
It's SPA and then the German S-set, which looks like a B, but it's really pronounced as a double S. So.
Of course it is.
Spaß.
You should make T-shirts with that.
We have some.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Off air. Yeah. Off air.
Yeah. But I think so. Yeah, we started distribution. With Spaß initially, and we were putting out. We have a 8-pack mix packs of 8 different flavors.
Oh, love it.
So that was going great. And then just this past fall, we started getting our beer out to market as well. So I came on board to kind of do like a little more of the, on-premise bars and restaurants. And then Doug, he also kind of, he continued to do more of the off-prem, liquor stores and bottle shops.
So you're self-distro.
Self-distro, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Yep. So we have the ability to self-distro as Great Marsh. Technically,
Right.
Spaß, we started a separate company.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
And
for legally, yeah.
Spaß is, in and of itself, a licensed distributor. So we can, in the future, if the need arises, distribute other people's product as well.
Oh, very cool.
Under that Spaß name.
What a
So
good name.
fun.
Yeah. So we need to.
I'm just going to do this forever now.
You're a jerk. I love it. So, more importantly, not that everything we've discussed isn't importantly, we want people to come here because we all know
You
as
gotta
beer
experience
drinkers,
this.
the best place to experience the beer is
On site.
on site. So,
believe it.
where are you physically located? And I know.
Fucking Google it,
You
kid.
can Google it, kid, right? Right, Ryan? You can fucking Google it.
Yeah, that or Waze or IMAP or whatever else you
Oh my
decide
God,
to use.
so many options.
But people like myself who write things down, where are you physically located?
Do you know?
99 Main Street, Essex, Massachusetts.
That's right.
Love
Right off of 133, right before Woodman's.
Yeah.
Or after Woodman's,
Absolutely.
depending on which way you come, right?
Look for the giant grain silos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Exactly.
And where are you located on social media? Because we want our listeners to follow you as well.
So we are at Great Marsh Brewing.
Yep.
And also for our seltzer, we are at Spaß Bev. It's actually spelled out SPASSBEV, not any German.
Oh, you don't have the German.
No, I don't think Instagram allows us to do it.
Classic Instagram.
I don't know.
Fucking Instagram.
But yeah, so
Zuckerberg.
SPASSBEV, Spaß Bev, and then at Great Marsh Brewing. Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Love it.
I know our listeners always get jealous at this portion of the podcast, but we're going to go drink some Spaß. We're going to drink some more beer, and we're probably going to talk a lot about other craft beer. But I would be interested to do, and I think it would do a service to our listeners and Great Marsh, to do an interview with you guys again in a couple months, because you're doing a lot of great things. And right now it's a good snapshot of what Great Marsh is up to this point, but I'm very curious to see what's next for you all. So I'd like to do another interview with you in the future.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
We're here
Welcome
for
it.
Cool. So, I can't say this enough. If your first experience at Great Marsh was kind of similar to mine, Erica's, and Ryan's at the time,
Come back
because we have been blown away. And I get it. We are the podcast that's going to say like, oh, it's awesome because they're right in front of us. This is honestly awesome. You've listened to any of our podcasts. We don't like really do this often, but please come and try out the brewery.
Because amazing.
It's amazing.
It's really great.
And they're not paying us to say
yeah, no, they're not paying. Yeah,
All right, let's
They
just
are
be
not
real.
paid sponsors.
And at the end of the day, if you listen to our podcast, you know how much shit I talk about a New England style IPA. And if I'm going to praise a Helles or I'm going to praise other style beers,
Yeah.
They better be fucking good.
they got to be good. So,
Yeah.
not that I'm the expert in that, but I'd like to say,
Come on down.
Come on down. That's right. No, but seriously, check out Great Marsh, and you can actually sit down, talk with the brewers, figure out what you like.
Have a
and
meal. Have a beer.
Have a meal.
Have a night.
Have a night.
Wow.
Erica,
You're
that's
welcome.
amazing.
That's what
Have
I
an
do.
experience.
An experience. That is the
Mac
word we were
is
looking
just topping it off.
for. Well, Mac and
Killing
Josh, thank you for doing this tonight.
Thank you.
And like
you
we
guys
said,
for coming,
we're going to drink some beers and maybe some seltzer. And maybe I'll call an Uber home tonight and leave my car here.
Wouldn't be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last time. But remember, a $30 Uber ride is better than a $3,000 court session.
On that note,
And that message is brought to you by the Brewers Podcast. And we'll take it away, Sound Guy Ryan.
cheers.